Hello everybody, it's me, Anime Alternates, and I am back. Whenever we actually left in the first place, I was just super busy with school and didn't have any time to write, record, or even post, and so I guess I'm making up for that now. So here is a video I've been wanting to make for a while, but really didn't have the time. I don't really know how I'll be able to make the next one, but I do hope you guys enjoyed this one. So without further ado, roll the intro. Why is it always me? Naruto thought, as he watched a potentially headache-inducing situation below him from a tree. He and Sasuke were supposed to be training together in preparations for the Chunin exams. To pass the time, Naruto practiced activating his Mangekyou Sharingan over and over, not using the powers as that would cause blindness to set even faster, but just making them activate faster. Finally, after 15 minutes of Sasuke not showing up, Naruto went to look for him. It was fairly easy to find Sasuke. All Naruto has to do was climb the Hokage monument and look over the village with his Sharingan. While the Sharingan couldn't see through walls, or in an almost 360 view like the Byakugan could, it was still dojutsu, and thus granted the user exceptionally greater eyesight than even the normal ones, even without it being active. Also, Sasuke's blue outfit stood pretty well against the natural green setting of the leaf. When he wasn't trying to hide himself, that was. A couple minutes later, and Sasuke was identified. But he appeared to be in the middle of a scuffle with two Sannin, Genin by the looks of it. They appeared to be fighting over Lord Third's grandson, who one of the Sannin was holding by the collar. But he looked familiar, and didn't take Naruto long to recognize the boy as the Kazekage's son. This meant that this team was consisting of the Kazekage's children. Where was the third one, Naruto thought? Naruto thought, his eyes flicking straight down. There you are. Hanging out the underside of the branch that Naruto was standing on was the Kazekage's third and youngest child. He didn't even seem to notice Naruto's presence yet, so Naruto just stayed quiet. No need to interfere where help wasn't necessary. And so, Naruto stayed quiet throughout the whole altercation, only applying a light genjutsu when the rest of the team from the sand, and the rest of Naruto's team looked upwards towards Gaara. The genjutsu, however, was what Gaara finally noticed, and though he barely showed any outward reaction besides his eyes flicking upwards towards Naruto's position. Kankuro, put the boy down. You're an embarrassment to the hidden sand, Gaara rasped out, using a sand-style body flicker to reach the ground. Show off, Naruto thought. The body flicker was totally unnecessary. Simply dropping to the ground would have been much more efficient, and if done right, would have looked arguably cooler. But Gaara, Naruto heard the boy dressed in the desert clothing reply, before he was cut off by Gaara. Shut up before I kill you, Gaara rasped out, before turning to glare at Sasuke. Naruto tensed. He had no reservations that Gaara would kill one of his teammates, but if Gaara even tried to hurt Sasuke, Naruto would take his head off. Almost subconsciously, Naruto started giving up a tiny bit of anger. Gaara smirked, and Naruto realized he'd walked right into a trap. Gaara had baited himself into revealing himself. Gaara had baited Naruto into revealing himself. This was proof that even though Naruto may be a prodigy, he was still a child and human, and as such he was prone to mistakes. Many, many mistakes. I was wondering who else was there. Now I know, Gaara said. You are the other Uchiha, yes? What of it, Naruto said before dropping out of the tree and landing without so much as a soft thud. A couple of leaves fell in his wake. See, Naruto thought, much cooler, before he stopped, realizing what he'd been doing was trying to act cool. He shivered internally, disgusted with himself, and he promised himself never to do that again. He wasn't trying to become one of those uppity people who think they deserved fame and fortune. I hope to face you in the upcoming exams, Gaara said, making eye contact. then turning around and walking off. His siblings dutifully and almost fearfully followed beside him. No one saw Naruto's eyes for the briefest of seconds flash to his Sharingan before deactivating. "He will be interesting to face in the exams, won't he?" Sasuke commented about a minute after Gaara and his siblings had left. "Indeed he will," Naruto replied. 60 seconds earlier. Naruto had sensed something was up with Gaara, something that could potentially harm Sasuke, and that would not do. So as soon as Gaara made eye contact, Naruto activated his Sharingan, but only for a split second. To do so, naturally, it wasn't very effective, but for that split second, Naruto could see into Gaara's mind. It was like he was viewing everything from a telescope. At the end of the view, Naruto saw a huge, monster-like thing, smaller in comparison to the Ninetales. Another Jinchuriki, Naruto thought. He remembered when Lord Third had explained that he held the Ninetales. It was a little after Shizui's death. Flashback. They were at the Hokage office, and Hiruzen had given Naruto the option of venting his anger on the officer around them. But he'd been in for a shock. Instead of venting his anger, Naruto had simply stood there and stared at Hiruzen for about 10 minutes without blinking. "Thank you, Lord Third," Naruto said, hot tears stinging his eyes. He usually never showed much emotion except when he was around Shizui. "And I truly do mean it. You can rest easy knowing that I don't resent the leaf." Hiruzen sighed again, something that he'd been doing a lot of during their conversation. "I can't tell you who it was, Naruto, but there was someone who went around my back with this. It slipped the whole QB situation to the public, and I have of course investigated it, but not much have come up. Unfortunately, this will have to be somewhat closed for now, so I can only hope whoever did this will be dealt with accordingly." Flashback end. At the time, Naruto hadn't gotten Hiruzen's message. It had taken him several years to figure out. Basically, Hiruzen had given him permission to deal with the situation as he saw fit. Only, and stressingly only, if he had dealt with it efficiently. Naruto shook his head. Hiruzen would probably already know about this. He was, after all, the Hokage. Not a single thing could be hidden from him. Not one single thing. "Let's go, guys," Naruto said. Time skip, the Forest of Death, in the middle of the second exam. "Kso," Naruto muttered as he stood in front of Sasuke and Sakura. His right eye was swollen shut, which, of course, prevented him from using Shadow Body. In the Uchiha hideout that he destroyed, Naruto had found the names of various Mangekyou Sharingan abilities, including an ability that closely resembled his own, named Kamui. But Kamui created another dimension that the user could slip into, while Naruto's right eye ability didn't allow him to do that. Instead, it simply allowed him to become intangible for a short burst of time. There was one other thing Naruto was unclear about, but he wasn't quite too sure what it was for now, and so he would leave it to later investigation. The current maximum was 15 seconds. Naruto had simply named the ability Shadow Body, as his skin took on a dark, almost transparent tone when he used it. Poor Ganin, Naruto's opponent mocked. It was a silky smooth sound, too smooth, and that sent chills up Naruto's spine. Orochimaru the Sannin took another step forward, clearly enjoying every second he spent terrorizing the Genin in front of him. He attacked them like a hurricane while they were searching for other team scrolls. He'd blown past all of their attempts to fight back, making Naruto's right eye swell up so he couldn't use his Mangekyou Sharingan ability. Then he had started taunting both Naruto and Sasuke by slowly revealing the secret of the Uchiha massacre. Itachi hadn't been evil. Danjo was still operating in the shadows, and many other things. This had sent Sasuke into a catatonic state. And Orochimaru's earlier blast of killing intent had knocked Sakura unconscious. Crap, Naruto thought, trying over and over again to force his left eye's ability to manifest. He still didn't know what it was, and it was as every attempt he tried to awaken it had ended in failure. "You know," came Orochimaru's silver voice, "I think our time has come to an end. I'm going to take your eyes now." come on, Naruto mentally shouted, pouring every bit of chakra he had into his left eye. Then, Naruto felt a familiar, burning feeling of using a Mangekyou Sharingan ability. His eye felt like it was on fire, but he pushed through the pain and continued. He saw Orochimaru, who was lunging towards him, be surrounded by a blue glow before his body began rising directly upwards, as if gravity was suddenly removed from his body. Naruto smirked. Gravity control. What a nice ability. It was also quite powerful if used correctly. But then Naruto snapped back to the present as Orochimaru rose higher and higher. Surprisingly, Orochimaru was silent, his eyes unfocused. And then Naruto realized this wasn't the real Orochimaru, it was a clone. But that made sense, really. The real Orochimaru would definitely be noticed if he was trying to enter the leaf on a short notice. It would take him a significant amount of time to slip into the leaf. And with the whole tuning exam going on, Naruto really doubted Orochimaru had the time to slip past the fine-tooth comb the leaf was passing through every single person that entered the leaf for the exam. But if Orochimaru was trying to get into the leaf and he used a significantly weaker version of himself, a clone in this example, specifically the shadow clone, it might be able to slip in undetected. Naruto then watched as Orochimaru almost all but disappeared from view as he kept rising higher, and still higher still. I'll be ready next time, Naruto said to no one in particular. And then, you'll see the real powers of my Mangekyou Sharingan. I won't be weak again. Shadow Body. And Naruto paused as his name came to him. The Weight of Nature, Naruto finished, naming his left eye's ability, before he fell face forward to the ground unconscious. And you guys, thanks for listening. I will see you guys next one later.